Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I am 13, and tonight I'm continuing a string of bad decisions by playing Mono White Goats. Yes, Mono White Goats, you did hear me correctly. This is a meme. It's also a deck on the fringe of the format. I'm sure a lot of you are actually tuning in because you're familiar with this deck. I hope I do it some justice, but like, look at that curve. I actually probably need to even resize the deck list thing at this point because look at that. That's horrendous. Oh, it's not even big enough. All right, well, we get medium-sized deck list with cut-off sideboard. Yeah, that seems fair. All right, mono white goats. In layman's terms, this is mono white devotion with some life gain in it. It's kind of hard to describe what this deck wants to do, but it's go wide with tokens, kind of get a combo kill, and kind of just have fun with goats. So first and foremost, our card of choice that gives the deck its name and its flavor is Springjack Shepherd. 4 mana for a 1/2 Chroma, which is essentially devotion. When it enters, create a number of 0/1 white goat tokens in play for each white mana symbol among permanents that you control. Sorry, I was trying to go off my memory and then tried to finish reading it. That did not work. But basically, Springjack Shepherd has 1 chroma on it. So if this enters and you have nothing else on the battlefield, it enters with 1. Mirror Entity on the other side also has 1 in it. If both those permanents are on the battlefield, you get 2 goats. This ramps up pretty quickly with cheesing some stuff into play, but we're going to be creating goats. Then on top of that, we also get the goat land. Unfortunately, I'm not running Trading Post. I wanted to meme, but that just isn't playable. Springback Pasture, though, colorless land, you can pay for to create a goat. More importantly, if you've just created a lot of goats, you can sacrifice any number of goats to get that much mana and gain that much life. We're going to use this to cheese out some powerful planeswalkers. I'm actually starting to think the reason I like most of these mono white decks is I get to cast Elspeth and Elish Norn. I think I just like those big white threats, but either way, generate a lot of mana, generate a lot of goats. Then we have Mirror Entity, which is a goat. And it's a 3 mana 1/1. You can dump a lot of mana into it to make all of your creatures power and toughness and all creature types. So you can actually use this to grow your goats to be enormous sizes. On top of that, we're going to be running Force of Virtue. We can cheese this into play, getting 2 white devotion. We can also open with Leyline of the Meek. Note, Leyline of the Meek does help our opponent's creatures, so that's a little less beneficial, but we're trying to anthem our goats up and get a lot of goats. And then on top of that, we have Benalish Marshal. It's 3 devotion. It's a 3/3. We're monocolored, so he's not that hard to cast, but he also anthems our goats. And then on top of that, we're running Nykthos to try to cheese out a lot of mana with our devotion, and Elish Norton and Elspeth, as I mentioned. So that's going to be a lot of big white threats. That's our deck. Our curve is atrocious. We have a lot of the Soul Sisters. We have a Crested Sun Bear, so we can go horses. Like, we're pulling out the barn on this one. But yeah, that's our deck. We are going to hopefully create a lot of goats and smash some face in. I should probably take note that we do not have a Stoneforge Mystic in our deck. We want Devotion. Stoneforge Mystic can go get us an equipment. And we kind of get the mana to batter Skull, but this is a string of bad decisions. This is going to be a lot of goats, anthems, and just trying to go wide enough and hopefully gain some life that it doesn't matter. We will run into some problems with other decks that try to grind us out, but that's the plan. Oh my gosh, and that's awful. This isn't lined up either. No wonder that wasn't centered. Eep. Then for the match, you got to pull that up. All right. Aesthetic Stud. What does this do? This is no snow land for our On Thin Ice. Thraben Inspector, Crested Sunmare, Elish Norn. That's pretty atrocious, so we can mulligan that. This is not bad. We get to open with Leyline. We get a white devotion land. We have a Soul Sister. I think this means I'm tucking Runed Halo and hoping that this isn't a combo matchup. So card to the bottom, that could be the Runed Halo. We're done. We can put out the Leyline of the Meek and our Soul Sister. Next turn we get to Border Post. And we're doing goat things. Oh, it's Burn. Alright, so Soul Warden likely dying here. Yep. Bye, life gain. I was kind of excited about you when I saw it was Burn, but you did. Sometimes it's good to be lucky. Uriok Champion has been a fantastic all-star in all of my mono white decks, pro black and red, and the Soul Sister effect. So we get to just block for days, and also gain life for days. I honestly wouldn't be overly surprised if that was a concession. Main deck Uriok Champion. The shenanigans. I need to turn off auto yields. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to take the damage for this. I'd like to hit the point that I can Shepherd. So, opponent gets some free damage there. But next turn we get a Shepherd. They can't swing in. We'll have 4, 5, 6, 7 goats that are all 1/2s. Yep, 4 damage. Opponent takes 2. It's not a play that comes up often, but if opponent leaves up 2 mana before attacking, I'm not supposed to block because Skullcrack gets rid of the damage prevention. Oh, look at that. Oh. Here come the goats! Thought I said always yes. Okay, always yes. Look at all them goats. Yeah, we'll get in. Our poor opponent didn't know they were going to get goated right out the bat. They didn't even see the more goats coming. So the next Springjack champion would have given us 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 goats, which would have gained us 8 life. Oh, that's fantastic. All right, well, Leyline of Sanctity comes in. Opponent won't be able to target us with Burn, and it also makes it so that we get 2 Devotion from our opening hand. Just fantastic. Worship could be a consideration. Just because opponent... no, they're going to have a way to get rid of our Leyline, so no need to bring in the Worship. As far as cuts, so we can cut some of the high end. Like, if we hit a point that we're on Elspeth or Elishnorn, we've basically won versus Burn, so there's no need to have these high end things up here. They also don't gain life in any meaningful way. Lindval could also be a consideration just because of the 4 toughness. It also stops Grim Lavamancer, which likely comes in to remove all of our little dorks. The On-Thin Ices are kind of awkward. We don't have much removal, though, and we do need a way to get rid of Eidolon and bad situations. We gain a lot of life, though. Like, this should be a decent matchup. Bedalish Marshal costing 3 and dying to Bolt, and also making combat hazy is kind of bad. Mirror Entity is also not great for that reason. I could see that. That seems fine. Just things that are bad to Bolt, expensive. Guess we'll see if opponent's on the can't gain life ley line. That might be a reason for a disenchant. Jeez, I don't actually have anything to remove that kind of stuff, but this hand's fine. Opponent's on the play, so if they start with something good, I can on thin ice. If not, I can just border post. And then I have our ringer as well as a way to draw cards. Having both Dawn of Hopes is awkward, but the hand's good enough by itself that I'm okay to let it run. Soul Warden. So I'm concerned about a Wear Tear taking out the border post. But that's fine. Soul Warden would eat removal at instab. I was suspecting opponent had a Bolt in hand. Which is ultimately why I didn't go with the Soul Warden, but we'll see if opponent brought in their path. If they did, still find to gain life. Interesting. So they did bring it in. Ooh, and another Eidolon. That's pretty bad. That's going to be a pretty fast clock. Alright, well, we have goats coming, so let's go ahead and on thin ice one of them. Take the 4 damage. Then take some more damage, but get our Soul Sisters out. I guess we'll see if they go wide. Or if they just straight up have removal. We are also dead to just 3 bolts, so... Just hoping to top deck a land here. Springjack gets me 5 creatures. I don't take the hit from the Eidolon. There's a Lava Spike. No Boros Charm. Okay, no land means I'm probably dead here. I guess we make opponent have it. We'll double block the Eidolon. And see if they draw Boros Charm or 2 burn spells. The Sunbaked Canyon just makes it so likely that we're dead. Yep, you got it. Good start from opponent. It might have been greedy of me not to on thin ice the Eidolon right away. Do I want the Settle the Wreckage for in case they go wide on creatures? It'd be Settle the Wreckage versus Linvala. Both get around Eidolon. Yeah, it's not worth it. We'll just run it back. Alright, we get turn 1 Soul Warden, turn 2 Border Post, replay the land on thin ice. But that only leaves us with 2 lands. I want Leyline. If I get Leyline of Sanctity, this is pretty much just GG's. Yep, we're going to 5. This hand just doesn't do very much. We are slightly light on lands. We have 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 lands, but we also have a couple of border posts. All right. Guess that means send back the border post, and I'm considering the Leyline. Just because I do like all these cards, and I can empty my hand on turn 2 before their Eidolon comes down. Eek. Not great. Starting off with the Thraben Inspector because he's less likely to take the bolt on one. I guess that does lose 1 life, assuming opponent's going to bolt Soul Warden anyway. But we'll see if they want to pop it. Here comes life gain. Wow. So that likely means they don't have an instant speed way to deal with the Soul Warden, otherwise I would have killed it in response. We had no other valid plays, and that just meant that we gained a life. Interesting. To be fair, though, I do that all the time. I get stuck narrating and end up making a slightly suboptimal play. That's a Linvala. Alright, well, they shouldn't have anything with Flash. Let's go ahead and swing in. There's a very sad-looking hand. I'm pretending like I have interaction. It could have been more correct to crack the clue looking for a land, but I have no follow-up, which is why I waited to sack the clue. Wow, an opponent's already looking for action. Alright, well, looks like they have a slower start. Nykthos is fine. Ooh, that's pretty sweet. So, I need opponent to run out of threats so I can on thin ice, then Nykthos will still be mana neutral. I've been in better spots. Any land, though, is pretty good. Linval is just a good threat, and then getting cheap to chump block is pretty solid, too. Linval also makes Nykthos give me more mana than it costs to invest in. Alright, well, opponent's doing their thing. That's a champion. I guess we'll see if they've got Path. If not, then I get to untap and Linvala and then get many, many sheep. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ooh, okay. So actually, I think this changes things. I was going to say that I need to drop the Springjack Shepherd because opponent has 3 cards in hand, but Leyline's actually still going to be the same effect as... whatever, we're just going to Leyline. If opponent has a Bolt here, they're going to send it upstairs, and then I'm leaving back the champion in case they have a Goblin Guide or a Swift Spear. Always yes, always yield, always yield. Leyline of the Meek. Okay, so we're currently getting 6 mana. This is actually going to be mana neutral, so I'm just going to on thin ice the Swift Spear so I can continue attacking. Okay, opponent has the Path. Oh, that wasn't mana neutral. I needed to invest into the Nykthos. Okay. Well, that was a punt. That was actually a punt and a half, but... leaving back the Thraben Inspector to chump block. I am getting 5 mana from Nykthos, which means Springjack Shepherd probably is coming down next. Oh, nope, opponent just scoops it up. Alright, can't get around the Leyline of Insanity. Starting off 1-0 with Mono White Goats. That's kind of appealing. Mono White Goats, again, meme deck. We're basically doing Mono White Devotion things, hopefully trying to finish out the game with a big finisher. We did actually trim both finishers, playing against Burn just because the matchup's so fast, but we are fairly favored in that matchup because we're gaining life and they're trying to burn us out as quick as possible. But yeah, I mean, we're doing goat things. So I should actually probably take mention of the trading post. It is technically modern legal. It also generates a goat. It also allows us to actually sack the goats to, like, we can just use the trading post to get a couple of different effects, whatever we need at the moment. It was too hard to try to fit into the deck. We're already making so many considerations just to make the goats thing happen, so... we do have the Springjack Pastures. We have the Shepherds. This hand's not keepable. We need something a little faster on the table. This is a Leyline, an On Thin Ice, Ruined Halo. So we're going to ship back Elspeth and be insanely slow, but we are on the draw, so we have another shot there. Yuck. Alright, well, let's hope opponent's not on a token strategy. For some reason, this affects opponent's creatures too. Either way, though, we need to do something to make goats viable, so... it's in the deck. Leyline's out. And it's looking like Ponza, possibly Jund. And we got another Shepherd. Great. I'd love to top deck a Plains. Why? What did I do to What did I do to make the goats mad at me? Was it because I said they weren't very good? I mean, they did beat Burn. I'm okay to be proven wrong. I just need to know why. So potentially red green monsters, Ponza. It's looking like Ponza though. So I can name Valakut in the blind and set up for next turn's Springjack Shepherd, or I can name probably Inferno Titan. Utopia Sprawl is not in Valakut, so that puts me on Ponza, which means the Ruined Halo is going to name one of Ponza's threats, which is Bloodbraid Elf in a lot of matchups, Karn in some matchups, or Inferno Titan in some matchups. So I think I need to start getting my pressure going before they start destroying my lands. And I think the best name here is Inferno Titan, because that's going to be the hardest card for me to actually beat. Well, honestly, a Blood Moon this turn is going to be really hard to beat, but I don't have any control over that. I do have control over Ruined Halo. Got to focus on what you can change. Opponent did miss the land drop. Lame. Alright, well, On Thin Ice is losing a lot of value. Thrabes is okay. We kept a 2-lander against Ponza. I'm a sad panda right now. I'm a really sad panda right now. Luckily, it looks like opponent doesn't have much else going on, so land Chandra's probably worst case scenario at the moment. Otherwise, I've got them on a 9-turn clock. Yep. I mean, Bloodbraid was always a consideration. They've officially destroyed all of our lands. So 100% going to On Thin Ice the Bloodbraid Elf. The land's already a target anyway, so not much of a point to feel bad about it. Haste makes Bloodbraid a little bit better underneath it, so they can Stone Rain me and then still attack, but they won't get the Cascade trigger because it's a cast trigger and it's already in the battlefield. So awkward. So that's what it's going to be like, huh? Alright, well, if we find a land, we're going to be hitting a couple of land drops. So I did run Ponza a little while back. This does not look like Karnza at the moment. I could be wrong, but Pillage usually means that you're not running Karn. Pillage also is the harder to cast one, so you typically run 4 Stone Rains before you run more Pillages. Oh boy, and here comes big mana. I need to turn off the yield to this thing so I can always yes. There we go. Now I'll gain life. But 2 pillages in the yard means they likely only have 1 more left in the deck if they even have that. And I drew an Elish Norn. Alright, we'll give it 1 more draw step, but opponent pretty much has this. I'm also expecting Inferno Titan to come down. It's not going to be able to deal damage to me yet, but I am expecting Inferno Titan to come down. Pick off both my creatures, swing in for 7. Well, 6 because they have to tap that, but... I could have traded both creatures there for a Bloodbraid Elf, and that would have significantly reduced my clock, but I don't think we're going to win this, so I'm kind of willing to keep him back in case there's more chump blockers. I also kind of want to get the information that opponent has here. That means it's not a Glorybringer. Snow-covered plains. I mean, I can keep playing to have my opponent show me more of their deck, but they're just playing Ponza, so let's just move on. We care about our land, so Leyline Sanity won't protect us against anything but Lightning Bolt and Inferno Titan triggers. Lenvala is definitely a good card here. It turns off Arbor Elf. I really don't think we want anything else, though. Worship could be a consideration, but they're green, so they have access to Nature's Claims, and they did see our Leyline, so they're going to have an answer for Worship, so we likely don't need to bring that in. Settle the Wreckage could be a consideration. On Thin Ice is strictly worse than Path in this matchup. But we're doing this because On Thin Ice is a permanent, and being a permanent increases our devotion. Yeah, I'm not really a huge fan of what's going on here. I guess we just trim the Elish Norn. It's the most expensive threat. I was also looking at the Marshal because, again, it dies to Bolt, but opponent shouldn't have too many of those. We can run it like this. Leyline of Sanity is definitely a consideration, but there's nothing that strictly hoses, so... This hand looks so beautiful, but it doesn't actually have a threat in it. So I'd open with Leyline of the Meek, then I'd be able to Force of Virtue, pitch the other Force of Virtue. I have a land that dodges removal. I have 4 lands against Ponza, but this requires me drawing a Shepherd. No, I want a real threat. The gold old 2 land versus Ponza hand. So the Border Post is technically a land here. We can keep. We're going to tuck back the On Thin Ice. I maybe should have just trimmed those, but they are our removal spells. Getting rid of that there makes Arbor Elf significantly better for our opponent. Jeez, it's even painful. Okay, well, first things first. In case opponent's actually putting out a creature, Soul's Attendant comes out, then we'll pay colorless and bounce it with Border Post next turn. Alright, no Arbor Elf. That's a start. That probably could have been another trim. We did see how awkward it was to name things last game. Oh, return a basic. Okay. Never mind, not doing that. Alright. Let the awkwardness ensue. Not gonna lie, I was very afraid that opponent was gonna Simian Spirit Guide Blood Moon me there. Ouch. Yeah, the Goats put up a amazing performance versus Burn, but they are not very happy with me at the moment. I don't actually have a way to generate a blue, so I have to find a basic, and this was a 2-lander, one of which was a Pain land, one of which was legendary. It's a little interesting that opponent waited to fetch their turn 1 play until this moment. It's also mildly interesting that they haven't gotten a basic, so Blood Moon must not be on their radar. We are monocolor, so I wouldn't be surprised if they took it out. Ouch. You got me. Basic! Okay, whatever. We're moving on. That is so heart-wrenching. That's why you never look. All right. Well, we did already mulligan down there. I'll take that loss for what it is. It was kind of a bad matchup and a horrible keep, but we are playing goats, so pawns will destroy your lands regardless of what you're playing. Uh, wow. Yeah, that was just heart wrenching. Don't think we were really set up for that either. Like even sideboarding, I didn't have a lot of stuff to bring in. We're a little light on lands with this build just because we are trying to sack goats and get our devotion high. Oh, deck. Why? So I can double on thin ice on my single snow-covered plains. If I find another plains, I have the Ruined Halo to shut out some specific matchups, and then I currently have 5 devotion for 5 sheeps, but no way to buff them. Okay, this is slightly better. Okay, not expecting this to actually be a life gain matchup, so I'm going to ship back the Soul Warden, and we can just open on Thrabes. This has been a fantastic common for me in so many decks. It's such a powerhouse. And it's Eldrazi. So I can potentially get Thought-Knot Seared here. And Ruined Halo would give me protection from the Thought-Knot Seer, so it says target opponent reveals their hand. The Uriok Champion's not actually going to be very relevant here, which means I'm likely just going to run out the Ruined Halo, calling Thought-Knot Seer so that they can't take the Uriok Champion out of my hand. And then that way, if I find a removal spell for it, then I will just draw a card. Reality Smasher is also kind of a problem here. Chalice of the Void is going to be super annoying post board. Alright, so this is likely the Serum Powder version, or this is the Eldrazi Taxes with just an off-color Sunbaked. Okay, that all is fine then. I guess that means my champion comes down. And can't get in through Athalia. I tried, she wouldn't let me. Alright, so I think they were planning on Thought-Knot Searing me. Either that or they just drew a lot of lands and they kept a lot of lands. Another Thraben. Alright, let's see if our decision change. Leyline of the Meek. Opponent's Ghost Quarter is pretty much only leaving up Dismember, but they have a Thalia out, so that's not very likely. And I think we're looking for Elspeth. Elish Norn's also just fantastic. Honestly, I'm not mad at either. Alright, that turns his Ghost Quarter on. But that doesn't really mean a whole lot. We don't have tokens, so I'm just digging for a better threat. That's technically a better threat. So next turn gets to be Springjack Shepherd, and then Leyline of the Meek attack with all of my goats, which is currently 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 goats. 8, 9. But if I sequence this first, then it's going to be 7. How much mana am I going to have? I'm going to have 6. I could Leyline first. I'm expecting an opponent to be on Stoneforge Mystic, although I never know with Arbiter anymore. It's so awkward for both players. They won't be able to search for any equipment if we let that go down. I'm expecting path out of opponent. I don't want to lose my champion here, so we're just going to take our beats. Besides, we're going to gain 7 life and get infinite chump blockers. Thought not. Okay, so we'll gain a life. They can't target us. They can't actually damage us, but it can block. So, Dawn of Hope. Dawn of Hope lets us Dawn of Hope first, and then Spring Jack. We'll get 1 more goat, but we won't gain life that turn. Alternatively, I Leyline of the Meek now and Dawn of Hope. I just take 4 damage. They get a Ghost Quarter me and potentially Path me. Well, that all gets to happen anyway. Let's just Dawn of Hope and then... Oh, Thalia. Yeah. Nope. We're just going to Spring... No. Ah, my gosh. I don't know what to do. Dawn of Hope gives us the best out, and this also allows us to keep up Leonin Arbiter. This is 1 more devotion and... just all the fun stuff. I should probably highlight this for a second. Whenever you gain life, you may pay 2 if you do draw a card, and then you can pay 4 to get a 1/1 soldier with lifelink. So if opponent runs out any more creatures, we get a draw card. They'll be able to Ghost Quarter our Springjack Pasture, but whatever. I could also Springjack Pasture and then Leyline of the Meek. I don't think that's better, though. Yep. No worries, friend. Snow-covered plains. It's actually a pretty good draw. So, still can't swing in thanks to the Thought Knots here. We'll make a ton of goats. Opponent pauses to read Springjack Shepherd. We're bringing out the goats. The next turn we get a Leyline of the Meek and make them all 1/2s. Okay, I'm a fan of this deck. I'm enjoying myself. And the question is, do I actually want to draw the card here if I do the Ghost Quarters live and the path I suspect they're holding is live? Okay, well, they don't have a path, otherwise they would have gotten rid of the Uriok champion. And we're going to have to say no a lot now. I ran into this problem with Soul Sisters against the Enduring Ideal deck. I was going to time out just because I didn't have enough time to answer all of my own triggers. But we're back up to 20. I was so close to putting Soul Herder in this deck. I was just so close. Yep. The pain. You got my land. We did draw a replacement. Then this is pretty much the last turn opponent gets to get in with these creatures because my goats are going to be bigger after this point. We have so many anthems. We're going to be bigger than the Thought Knots here any moment. And the On Thin Ice is just a free card draw. If I ever find it. They are on Ghost Quarter, but that just means we'll probably draw twice when we answer it. Chalice on 1. That's kind of upsetting. And they should have fired that off now. Oh boy, look at all these options. Dogads! We don't actually have a way to flicker, and this puts lethal on the table for the backswing. If opponent runs out another creature, we get to draw a card. If they try to Ghost Quarter us or Path us, we can activate Leonin Arbiter. We just have options. So what you got, opponent? 5 cards in hand. All's Dust can get you pretty far. I don't think you run it, though. Yep. So I'm looking at taking 9 here. Yeah, we'll just draw a card. Emeria! We can start bringing back the Shepherds! Alright, so they showed us Reality Smasher for no real reason. We could assume that it's in their deck, but yeah. Opponents shouldn't have a way to deal with Worship, Settle the Wreckage, Fumigate, all come in. Linvala's a consideration. I'm not a huge fan of this, but it is a consideration. The fact that we don't actually have a disenchant in the board is probably a mistake on my part. Stony Silence, I looked at like 5 different lists for this, and none of them had disenchant, so it's a little hard to gauge that we need it, but with all these 1-drops, it's really hard to feel like we can answer their deck successfully. The On Thin Ice is probably a requirement, but I want to trim on my 1-drop some, so it's going to be probably one of the Soul Sisters. Just diversify what gets hit by Chalice. Maybe just trim a On Thin Ice. Although, that would mean I'm just bringing Linvala in just to bring Linvala in. Yeah, that actually seems fine. Yeah, I mean, if we make it to 4 mana, we're pretty happy. I'm not sure if this is correct. This is actually probably... Oh, good call, Brad 1. I do want Linvala. The On Thin Ice gets removed by Flicker Wisp. That's probably a good enough reason to keep this configuration. Stony Silence, it won't have Oblivion Stone. Yeah, we'll submit like this. I think Crested Sunmare is our best card in this matchup, though. Oh my gosh, that is awful. Deck, you have been kind of disappointing to me for the last 2 matchups. Burn, you just work splendidly, but you've kind of been letting me down lately. Like, look at this. This is so bad. All right, so I think the plan right now is to take game 3. It's so bad. I don't even have white. This is at least a border post and a land. We can Force of Virtue. Although we're probably shipping back Force of Virtue. So Elesh Norn goes back for sure. Now it's between Force of Virtue and Worship. Worship gets hit by Flicker Wisp as well. This won't save me versus Dismember. It does make my... Whatever. I can at least free cast that. If opponent gets an early Thought Knots here or something, I might be able to sneak surprise empty my hand. Human. Interesting. Alright. Game on, opponent. Game on. No ETB effects, so no life gain, no devotion. That actually is kind of annoying because that means that I can't gain life with the Soul's Attendant. Alright, well, surprise Force of Virtue. It does stop Thought Knots here. So I think what I'm going to do is get rid of the Soul's... Nope, can't. Fun. I was just going to block the Honor Guard to stop the 1 damage, but Thalia's Tax even works on free cards. I knew that. Thick Thalia. Runed Halo. So Runed Halo names Thick Thalia. That's going to enter tapped. Oh boy. So many struggles. Alright, I guess this is Force of Virtue then? Block the Honor Guard? I was going to pitch the Soul's Attendant, but I don't have a way to answer this unless I find one of my 3 on thin ices. And then they just get it back with the Flicker Wisp because I turn it back on. Okay, whatever. We're going to play like we have a shot of winning this. It's not very likely, but that's how we're going to try to play it. Actually, no. What I'm going to do is Force of Virtue next turn and then try to double block the Honor Guard. So I need to top deck an untapped land, which is basic. That's not what I wanted. So take 5, kill this, and then try to Shepherd. Actually, how much mana do I have? I'm currently getting 4 off of Nykthos. Okay, well, we have a plan. It's not a great plan, but we have a plan. I wasn't supposed to attack there. Yeah, whatever. You get this game. Honor Guard. That means I do need on my thin ices. I guess I technically also was drawing to Fumigate. That might have been an early scoop. I apologize for that. I punted, got a little tilted, and didn't actually think through my lines. Settle the Wreckage and Fumigate were both live draws there. Yeah, the Soul Sisters being out is probably fine at that point. The Worship's looking better. Maybe the Border Post is the worst card then. Mirror Entity still a bomb. This is our grind engine. Whatever, we'll take out a Thraven Inspector. We will play first. We have our On Thin Ice, we have a Ruined Halo, we have a Linvala, and Elishnorn. This is a mediocre hand, but assuming that we get to On Thin Ice and it's not a Chalice on 1, but a creature on 1, then we get Ruined Halo, then Nykthos is giving us 3 mana. Linvala will make Nykthos give us 5 mana, and hopefully we've drawn 2 lands by that point, or an additional white card. Elishnorn should just lock this game out. A Thought-Knot Seer completely stops this plan, unless I Ruined Halo it. Alright, whatever. We'll keep it. We actually have our interaction, and that's why we lost last game, was we didn't have our interaction. Also, slight misplay there. No, I was going to say I should lead on Nykthos in case they get Thick Thalia again, but the Nykthos doesn't tap for white mana, and I want a Ruined Halo. Gonna name Thought-Knot Seer again, just because we have all the bombs in our hand, so we don't want any of that to get removed. Then hopefully opponent doesn't plane Simian Spirit Guide, Arbiter, Ghost Quarter. That would feel super bad. Honor Guard. Chalice on 1. Alright, On Thin Ice is off the table. Looking to draw a land then. Land would be great. Land is Linvala, and then I feel like we're pretty far ahead. Instead, we draw the horse. That's rough. Disenchant on Ruined Halo. Great. So Devotion goes down, although that wasn't a credible play, and Ghost Quarter is going to hit Nykthos whenever opponent thinks it's a problem. And they have Hazoret? Oketra? Interesting. Alright, well, if they don't take the On Thin Ice, this gives us a shot to draw into a land for turn. I imagine they're taking the Crested Sunmare because it's likely the best card in this matchup, although it does depend on what 4 cards they have in hand. The Settle the Wreckage is also pretty annoying for their deck, but that just means they're going to run out of Thalia before attacking. Elishnorn is just devastating. Our hand is very expensive. Look at our curve. Just soak that in for a second. We have the entire top end of our deck. I can just only imagine an opponent being like, how did you think this deck was playable? What series of matches have you played in which mono white goat seemed like it was going to be a good decision to register for this? At least them pausing this long did give me a moment to remember they have a chalice on one, so they're not touching the on thin ice. So that just invalidated probably about a sixth of our deck. Actually, it might be a little bit less. We trimmed a lot of the Soul Sisters. Took Linvala. Okay, so I imagine an activatable creature's incoming. Rips. Rips around. This god's intriguing me. It could be any number of things. But I'm expecting... Alright, so we are currently on a 3-turn clock. I needed to draw back-to-back lands, and then opponent gets to attack however they feel like with knowledge of the Settle the Wreckage. Or another Force of Virtue could technically get me there because of Nykthos. Yeah, Seraphix, we're doing mono white goats, and we had to throw a horse into the mix just because, I mean, it's goats. Displacer. Lovely. At least now they can't cheese us out of our draw because we're looking for lands. That's a Plains. So... Oh, wait. They also have the Honor Guard. I am so confused by their deck. Like, I understand this is in here for Soul Herder, but I'm very confused by this deck. Springjack Shepherd, no ETB, but gets a chump block. Or I just let it go for a turn. That won't actually net me any additional mana. The 2-3 actually just gets to kill Thalia. Oh, nope, I'm just dead. GG's opponent, well done. Very non-synergistic, but we also... I mean, our curve. We had the entire top half of our curve in our hand. Alright, well, updating the record. Goats! We performed so splendidly versus Burn in match 1, and then it just went so downhill so fast. Like, it just went so horribly. It was a magnificent crash. Nothing that you would expect from mono white goats. I mean, sorry, you wouldn't expect anything else from mono white goats. Oh boy, what is with all these one-landers? I was so concerned about the mana base, but I added 2 more lands than most of the lists were running. Yeah, I can't keep that. This I can keep, but I'm not excited about it. This gets my devotion up. I'm going to tuck a land. Whatever. I have been getting shafted by Mana Screw all night, so this is me overcompensating for it. Sheep Mage! I don't know why, but that just made me so happy. We're playing goats, and he's a Sheep Mage. We're playing Barn Magic here. Please be on mono white goats. Or a Stone Hero Giant. Oh, it's hard to scales. Alright, I'm likely naming Walking Ballista with this Ruined Halo then. And we drew another land. I'm not even going to give any time for this. I'm just naming Walking Ballista. Inkmoth Nexus could also be a consideration. If they slam an Inkmoth Nexus here, jam an Arcbound Ravager, by all means, opponent, you got it. We got Stony Silences in the board. Treetop Village. Oh, this is Amulet Titan. No, it's not. It shouldn't be. I don't know. I'm just going to stop talking. I'm looking stupid here. Treetop Village is not a normal consideration in Hardened Scales or Amulet Titan. Kalani Garden is in Primetime decks. I made the mistake. This is where I went wrong. I made the mistake when I saw this Kalani Garden. I didn't actually look to see which one it was. I was under the impression that that was the Graft Land, which I think is Llanowar something or other. Note taken, opponent. I did mess up. I was supposed to name Primetime with this. So, if I Leyline of the Mig, the plant token actually does get a hit me for one. Um, yeah, but this is life. This is life as I know it. So we'll just get out another border post, get our devotion up in case we find a Nykthos. Next turn is likely just going to make a goat token and block the Courser. Assuming we don't die here. They do have an Azusa, so they don't have an amulet though. Evolving Wilds lets them sculpt the top of their deck. Should have 2 more land drops. Arboreal Grazer. This looks like mono green Titan with budget fetches. We are in the 1-2 bracket. Really shouldn't be surprised by much. Okay, that's a card. I cast this, I get 4 goats. I cast this turn. Next turn I get 6 goats. I also can potentially die. So I guess we're just going to run out some goats. Goats! Look at that magnificent token. That looks like it could be unglued. Oh, they're Field of the Dead Scapeshift. Okay. That makes a little bit more sense. This could be a fun deck. I mean, at the moment, it's like clearly ahead of me, so I can't judge it all. Force of Vigor's probably going to be one of my better draws. Although that doesn't let me exile anything, so that doesn't mean a whole lot. But the Slate Line's making it so that I'm also going to grow their zombies for them. Ruined Halo has to name a card name, so I can't name zombie token. There's the prime time. And we can probably scoop it up. The Settle the Wreckage is in the board. The Fumigate's in the board. They are going to just have a million tokens. So funny enough, I actually think I'm going to just take the 1 damage from Azusa and kill the plant token since I'm likely going to Leyline this turn if I do anything. I can Leyline, but then opponent's just going to hit me for 27 instead of 18 over here, so let's go to game 2. Fumigate comes in, Worship probably comes in, Settle the Wreckage definitely comes in. Opponent just messaged me, you should have attacked with a goat. I think he's fully on board with the meme. I think Linvala is a consideration. We did see a lot of creatures that don't really have activated abilities, so that might not be worthwhile. Leyline of Sanctity doesn't really solve a whole lot if they're on the Field of the Dead plan. Elesh Norn's just going to be our hoser. Not a huge fan of these Leyline of the Meeks. I actually think that's just going to be the cut here. Yeah, this is. It's been a fun deck, but like trying to make decisions that lead to victory feels kind of shenanigan-y. All right. I mean, this is doable. This is completely doable. So we're gonna have a pro black creature. We're gonna have Thrabes on one, and we're building up to a Maria as well as an Elspeth to hopefully just get us a lot of chump blockers or something equivalent to their zombie tokens. uh, I had 5 goats. Opponent had a lot of zombies. I do have to say though, I'm liking the twist of opponent's stack. I might need to give that a shot at some point in time. Budget Field of the Dead. Alright, they get a tap land. Another Thraben Inspector is perfectly acceptable, so I'm going to run out the champion just so I can get some F6 value here. Next turn gets to be an Ameria, bounce the border post, and play the other Inspector. That Ghost Quarter makes me sad. That means my Ameria is going to get wrecked pretty quickly. It's a slow, awkward tap land. Settle the Wreckage is a pretty good draw too. So I get to get in for one for free. Then Thrabes. Now I get to always yes to this. And Border Post. We're doing things. I mean, we are at a point where we are technically set up to survive this, because what gets to happen now is they get a ton of zombies. We gain 1 life for each zombie. We take a hit from the prime time, and then they alpha, and we get to settle the wreckage. They'll go get a ton of lands, but I think the verbiage on Field of the Dead, I haven't been playing standard, is that they have to have different names, which is why they're running the snow covered and the basics. I'm not doing anything productive here. This is when you control 6 or more lands. I love this guy at standard. So I'm just going to go ahead and crack a clue. And Dawn of Hope's pretty strong. So I can crack clue, end step, or Dawn of Hope now. I think I'd prefer to just leave up all of my mana the following turn for Settle the Wreckage or Clue and Dawn of Hope. There's a Courser. And this tracker's going to be a problem. I mean, we can remove it if it attacks, but the card advantage it's going to generate is actually going to be very hard to deal with. I guess Elspeth gets to destroy it the following turn. All right, something good, something good. Hey, look at that. We get a little, a million little goats. Um, so opponent's going to be able to attack for 4 next turn, technically 6. I can Spring Jack, get a ton of goats, not be able to gain life off of the Dawn of Hope. Or I can try to set up to draw the Elspeth, assuming that opponent has a primetime in hand. I think I need to plan on getting Elspeth down to kill primetime before it attacks. Opponent will get their Field of the Dead, but I think that's my best line to victory. really hard to gauge how important goats are with no anthems on the table. Opponents ghost quartering themselves. So that's either so that they don't draw the Azusa, or they're doing that to get the additional green mana. I suppose with that sequencing, they could be looking for an untapped land. More goats! And they have another Sylvan Advocate. Alright. Hey, we found our land. Well, they didn't run out of an additional land, so these are only 2/2s at the moment, which means Elspeth's not coming down this turn. Onthanice. That's also kind of a decent draw. So Onthanice lets me get the Tireless Tracker out of the way before it starts drawing cards. Then I get to hold up Settle the Wreckage and my Clue. I actually don't care about this board state right now, so I think I'm just cracking the Clue. Or, no, I need to get some pressure on the table. Let's go ahead and just get some sheeps. I think I said sheeps because that's opponent's name. I meant to say goats. We want goats. And opponent has Field of the Dead. So the exact verbiage is whenever this or another land enters battlefield control, if you control 7 or more lands with different names, you create the token. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They are a little short at the moment. Westfell Abbey's spicy. Ormondal was my jam back in Standard. Brad one, if you're watching, I kind of want to try opponent's deck with Wrenn and 6. Nice, Sylvan Advocate. That is beefy. That is super beefy. And he even has trample. I'm just going to soak this damage. The trample means that nothing I have is beneficial, and I'm at 35, so good beats. Good beats. And we found a Plains. So I destroy the Sylvan Advocates. Opponent has almost nothing left on table. Then the Treetop Village is only a 3/3 trample. Yep. It's always a good day when I cast my girl Elspeth. Most Jund opponents that I play against concede to an Elspeth, and opponent's deck seems to be kind of similar. They are technically a combo deck with the Field of Ruin, but I'm assuming this Elspeth should be able to go the distance. Every turn I'm going to plus or gain 3 life, get 3 tokens, and draw up to 3 cards. Yep, you get your tracker back. This does give me 2 mana available to draw a card. Yeah, I'm just going to do it now. Opponent might not give us the opportunity. I'd rather keep the Clue around. Getting rid of the Ghost Quarter also makes Field of the Dead less likely to go off. That's a prime time. So, Field of the Dead likely turning on this turn. Only one Settle the Wreckage feels kind of bad being. Oh boy, the triggers are coming. Mirror Entity. That is an amazing draw. So Mirror Entity lets me grow everything out of the range of the zombies. I just need to dump 3 mana into it and all the goats will become massive. I will have enough mana to do 4, so let's go ahead and just Elspeth. We won't draw any cards yet. Then Mirror Entity, 100% expecting to settle the wreckage this turn, just get rid of Primetime. But this also makes attacking for opponent insanely awkward. Naturalize. Likely going after the Dawn of Hope? I don't know. We haven't shown them an Anthem effect. Mirror Entity, also a honorable Squirrel. Less relevant at the moment, but... Or Meatall actually is kind of a problem here, just because he has flying. I might need to save Settle the Wreckage for when Primetime and or Meatall attack. Because at the moment it looks like the opponent can get in and kill Elspeth with or Meatall. Oh, I actually probably could have killed opponent last turn. Twitch chat, whoever's here, I'm mad at you. You should have told me that 8 times 4 is 32 and they don't have enough blockers. So we just need to survive this turn, which means it's Settle the Wreckage and crack back for 7 sevens. Yeah, that was a huge whiff. YouTube comments on this one are going to be awesome. Dude, you had lethal for like 3 turns. No, I didn't because this is Summoning Sickness, but still. You were staring at lethal and you just didn't take it. So he gets 2 lands here. If one of them's a Field of the Dead, then they get double triggers. Yep. Whatever, we'll draw some cards. I should have looked to see where Primetime was going first. It's going at me. So I can kill the Primetime here by sacrificing a couple of creatures. I don't think it's worth it. Mary is also 1 turn away. I probably should have blocked with the Shepherd just so that I'd have one in the yard. Okay, so I'll be able to eat all of my opponent's creatures here and potentially kill them. They're going to generate tokens faster than me, though. That's kind of a problem. So many triggers! So if I force a Virtue, get rid of the Shepherd, I'm going to lose out on 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 goats. I don't think I can do that. I think I am currently ahead at the moment. Oh, and we even got that. Okay. Maria currently online. I can make all of my creature 8/8s. They currently have 11, 12, 13, 14 blockers. That's going to handle the... I'm going to get through with 2 creatures, but I can only make them 8/8s. So opponent's not going to be dead. This will leave me with a couple of chump blockers on the back end. I can Force of Virtue for free, pitching the Benalish Marshal, and that would make them all 10/10s. That'd put opponent to 8. Ugh, this is so awkward. Alternatively, I just take one more turn off and... No, I just have to go for it. No draw, no draw, no draw. Then... Alpha, I think I want to keep the lifelinker back, though, because I know I'm not going to kill opponent, regardless of how they block. I can get in. We're at 42. The goats! Opponents should also have their Naturalize in hand, so this Force of Virtue is actually not going to do as much as I want it to. So opponent can actually grow this Tireless Tracker quite a bit. I don't know, maybe should have kept the Mirror Entity and the life gain back and just tried to clear their board. This board is bananas. Okay, so they're letting through 2, 3, 4, 5 creatures. I think that means they're dead. Okay, 4 creatures times 9, assuming that this gets naturalized, is still dead. All right, so how big can they make this Tireless Tracker? They can make it a 5, 6, 7. They can make it a 7, so I need to make this all 8/8s. I could do that. And going to 9 isn't going to make any kind of a difference there. Then opponent gets to kill my Elspeth if they want to. Oh, what you got? Okay, so they get to transform into Ormetal. That's fine. Oh, crap! I just misclicked. Oh my gosh. Oh. We totally would have won that. We totally would have won that. I didn't realize I was activating the... Oh my gosh. I just died a little inside. Not just a little, I actually just died a lot. Oh my gosh. Can I call it there? We're 1-3. We ran goats. They did things. I'm heartbroken at this point. Where's the dog? I need a therapy animal at the moment. It's just that... Oh my gosh, I just died. That was soul crushing. That was a fun game too. That was a really fun game. Alright, well we don't have any goats, but our devotion count's going to be insane. Like, this might be a turn 4 Elspeth. Maybe not that good. I'm not mathing. After that last one, my hopes and dreams are gone. I'm going to update the match record to 1-3 and then put a freaking frowny face on it because that is just... I'm going to have to slide it out of the way to see the frowny face. Ugh. Womp womp. Blue-red. So is this the new Phoenix terribleness? I have been happy I haven't seen Phoenix since the Faithless Looting banning, but this could also just be stock Storm. If this is stock Storm and we just made their Gobbo tokens amazing, then... Womp womp. Okay, well, if this is Storm, we have a Ruined Halo now. If it's not, we have an Uriog champion. It's pro-red. That might be relevant. Spell Snare? Mana League. Okay, this looks like a blue-red control list then. Might even be Grixis. Or Jeskai control. Like, any of the above could be acceptable. That looks a little bit more like Grixis. This is where a Cavern might have been nice, but we're running on Thin Ice, so we had to really maximize our basics. Run it back. Do you have more counter magic, opponent? Grixis. Oh, if they slam Kess, I'm just giving this to them. No joke. I tried Kess, it didn't work. Oh, I should try Kess again now that Hogak's gone. That actually might work. This actually looks like a Goryo's As Foretold shell. Alright, Nykthos is giving me 5 mana, so I get to... If I attack and they drop a Snapcaster and kill my champion, I'm sad. I can attack in with the Thraben Inspector if I feel like it, but because I'm expecting it to die from some amount of burn spells, I'm just going to go ahead and crack my clue and see if I find anything of value first. And I don't know what to name with Ruined Halo yet, so I suppose we'll just pass because we're flooding out kind of hard. Mirror Entity, man. Sad panda. Such a sad panda. Soul's Attendant. Well, I don't have a payoff yet, so... Opponent, are you going to crypt my Soul's Attendant? Apparently not. Again, still don't want to attack into a Snapcaster Mage, given the fact that this is pro to 2 colors in their deck. They haven't shown us anything other than a mana leak and some lands. I think their deck benefits from playing a land every turn better than ours does, and we're also drawing nothing but lands. I'm assuming opponent has some action in hand. I'm quite close to putting this on Grape Shot though, just because I think that's the closest way we win out of, or we lose out of nowhere. I don't know. If we get a Maria going, we're fine. This is V-Click. K-Command. Sure. Soul Sister down. Okay, this is control then. Maria is 3 lands away from going off. I mean, the chip beats are getting in. Given the fact that they're on K-Command, I'm assuming that this is a metagaming control list trying to run K-Command versus all of the random shenanigans. We have 2 Ruined Halos. We know that they have a K-Command, and it's likely that they have a Snapcaster Mage. So I'm going to name Ruined Halo to try to make it so that they can't make us discard K-Command. It also gets our devotion up for Nykthos. Exiling a Spell Pierce. Okay. If you got oh, that was a mistap. I should have actually tapped for. Um, I should have gone through Nick though, so I had mana floating in case I had another mana leak. Mirror Entity. Alright, well, I'm attacking first. I still think opponent's holding a Snapcaster Mage, and this chip damage is moderately important. I'd rather not get blown out in combat, so we'll see if they have something for this. Apparently not. Okay, well, we have lethal on table. So Nykthos would be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I guess I could have made both these 8/8s and killed them this turn. I still think that that's a little bit loose. I'm playing a little conservatively given the fact that they don't have very many cards in hand. Marshall. Okay, so this is going to be free with Nykthos out. So I'm just going to lead on the Anthem effect. And then Nykthos will activate, giving me exactly the devotion back. So let's do this. I have 3 creatures, which means I need to make them 4/4s. Sure, and they're going to get Anthemed anyway to be 5/5s. This gives me enough mana to reactivate in case they have some shenanigans. I don't know how I hit OK to reactivate Mirror Entity again. I don't think I know the hotkey for OK. Okay, so this is still going to... whatever. We'll go for the 4. 3 should still be lethal, assuming they have another Lightning Bolt. Cool beans. You dead. Alright. Eidolon of Rhetoric shuts off any of the graveyard shenanigans as well as not being boltable. Worship. So opponent might actually have a cryptic command for that. They did fetch out 3 blue very early, so I'm assuming they have the cryptic command. Linvala is just a threat as well as being 4 toughness. We get... Rest in Peace could be a consideration. They're just control. I think the Eidolon of Rhetoric stops the graveyard shenanigans. Actually, I'm assuming they're on Kess. I think I'd rather have that over the Eidolon. The Leyline could potentially be a consideration. I'm assuming they're on discard. I at least know they're on K command. Elspeth can get Force of Negation, so going to try to go a little bit less on the non-creature plan. Same with the Border Posts. They're cute for Devotion, but getting them countered when we're counting on them because we have a low land count of 18 probably means they need to come out. This isn't Dredge. I'm probably okay with 2 rips. Then On Thin Ice is just shy removal. Also, Cryptic Command Bounce a Land is still a thing. I think that's the configuration I want to go with. Overall, we did the white weenie thing. We put out creatures, we killed them. Worship's probably a consideration for this matchup, but opponent having blue in their deck probably means it's not good enough. Settle the Wreckage could also be a consideration. Just get rid of whatever bomb they're trying to get to. I honestly believe that they're trying to cheese in Grizzlebrand off of Goryo's Vengeance, but that's probably just because that's my flavor of doing things. This is fine. I mean, it curves out. We have our pro everything creature handy. If it looks like opponent's specifically holding up counter magic, then I can just not run out the champion and go Amaria and slow roll it. Okay, so no bolt. Doesn't mean they're squatting on nothing, but does mean no bolt. Mountain. So they have their colors. I'm perfectly okay trading the Soul Warden for a Snapcaster Mage, and it looks like they might be on the mana leak, so I'm going to run out of Maria if they don't do anything here. Yep, so I guess we get him a Maria. That gets us our white source. It's kind of sad. I'd prefer the Marshal gets countered over the champion, but I feel like the champion just has so much value. On thin ice. Alright, Soul Warden, get in there. Do things. And check for the Mortal Kombat mana leak. Show me what you got. I should note that because I didn't see discard, I felt like it was safer trying to run it out post counterspell magic. Opponent is on black, so it's likely that they have discard as well, which it's not safe in my hand. The protection from black is not viable in hand. But if they were just counting on a mana leak, the Nykthos should be able to get around it this turn. I'll have 5 mana. Although they would be at Cryptic if they actually had their 3 blue. I guess Filter Land's going to be their best land drop here, and at least represents the Cryptic command. Alright, so Nykthos. Now Uriok Champion's a bait before the Shepherd. That's hilarious. So I think I want to try to get the counterspell live before attacking. Don't really have a good reason for that. It's just the feeling I'm getting at this current board state. I was expecting a lightning bolt. Like, I didn't even think that was close. I was just expecting a lightning bolt on the Marshal. Likely a K command? No. I'm so confused at what opponent's doing. Like, the tutored instep likely means that you want to get a dual land. Are they about to try to Blood Moon me? No, you don't run Field of Ruin and Blood Moon in the same deck. Unless it's mono red. That's rough. Alright, so I can Springjack Shepherd for a single go. It gets 1 devotion on the table. I can try to Nope, that doesn't work. I think I'm just creating a go to instep. I played right into that damnation. I need to get some more reps back in with control. I think I'm losing my edge for what they should be holding. Goats are also just a horrible investment plan. Ah. No, that's a sheep. I actually don't think I know what noise a goat makes. I just know my heart's shattered because of that mirror entity activation. Feels bad, man. Opponent's pausing. They're making a goat? I'm expecting them to try to slam a Kess at some point in time, and this on thin ice will look so appealing when that day comes. They're going to Field of Ruin my pasture. I thought for sure it would be a Maria that will win me the game, or Nykthos that gets me big mana, not the thing that's kind of a bad investment plan for mana sources. Alright, well, Thraben Inspector comes down. The goat is no longer a bad investment plan. I think I'm just cracking the clue and looking for another 1 or 2 drop. Leyline of Sanctity is a thing. I currently have 5 mana, 6 mana if I am willing to sack the Nykthos. Yeah, if you have a Snapcaster Mage, you got me, but you'll get no value out of it, so by all means, take the message. The goat's coming for you. Opponent was holding up Force of Negation there. That's probably worth mentioning. I don't know if they actually meant to or not. Because they activated the Field of Ruin, I don't know if they actually intended to leave that mana up or not, but man, you see something a little unique and modern, and you're like, better bolt it. I mean, the Thraben Inspector actually had power and toughness. I can't tell how they're filtering mana. Cruel Ultimatum. Target player sacks a creature, discards 3 cards, loses 5 life, and then you get to return a creature which you don't have, draw 3 cards, and gain 5 life. Okay, so this is the old Cruel Ultimatum build that one guy was running. I'm going to get rid of the Nykthos here, and probably the On Thin Ice, and then I'm guessing the Leyline of Sanctity. The Leyline actually has text here. This isn't very good, but I want this to be set up with Elesh Norn. The Leyline would have actually stopped Cruel Ultimatum, so I think that's going to be the plan, is I try to slam an Elesh Norn and Leyline of Sanctity. Dawn of Hope. I think I'm more concerned with Leyline of Sanctity resolving, although I'm expecting them to have a Force of Negation at this point. Apparently not. So I can Dawn of Hope, make a Soul Sister, or have a Soul Sister, and I won't gain life itself, but I would gain life if they run out something good. Alright, so absolutely no artifact synergy so far. And they're running out the Kaladesh one. So they can kill a creature, and the emblem is animate at every instep. Snow-covered plains. Dawn of Hope. Three Devotion is still mana neutral, so I'm still a full turn away from this Elesh Norn, assuming opponent doesn't have a hard counter. This Tezzeret is actually going to ultimate. But odds are they're just going to ultimate it with 2 Ethereum cells in play. Yep, no legal target. They were pretty close to Snapcaster Cruel Ultimatum. Trying to figure out why they can't Lightning Bolt me. Leyline of Sanctity is a pretty good card. Hopefully they attack with the Snapcaster Mage, because that will mean that I can create my token with Dawn of Hope and actually hit Tezzeret, stop him from ulting. Assuming they don't have another bolt, which they likely do, but still trying to play to my outs as best as possible. No attacks. So not sure if they realized I can do this or if they just figured it's better to stay on defense. Let's attack Tezzeret. That's fine. No complaints from me. Then I get a draw card. That's a rip. I don't think that changes anything. I think I'm on the Springjack. I'm assuming it's getting countered, but this will at least give me some tokens. Yep. I assume that was pointed at Elishnorn, so it's all the same. This does mean Tezzeret gets to alt. It also means that I'm going to be staring down a 5/5 every turn. Opponent Factor Fictions. Okay, well, Damnation, Cryptic Command, Alpine Moon, Snapcaster, land. Done. I think this closes the game out. Either way, they get to answer my Elishnorn. I can grind a bit, but opponent having 5/5 Ethereum cells means I likely am not getting anything done. They took the Cryptic Command. Yep, good enough for me. All right, game 3. So saw a little bit more of the opponent's deck. I don't really think that I care. I just need to have a better start. We aggroed them out game 1, and that's what we need to do game 2. Try to play around Damnation. This means that they have at least 2 of them in the deck. So can't overcommit to the board. They also brought in Alpine Moon for a Nykthos/Emeria. It's a little hard because a lot of our creatures are dorky and they're able to get a lot of value off of their spells, but we'll see what we can do. I'm assuming the Alpine Moon came in because game 1, the Mirror Entity was able to just lock them out of the game. What is with all these one-landers? And I kept in the On Thin Ice. I wanted to trade it On Thin Ice for Elspeth. That was a consideration I was making mid-game. This is going to be 2 Leyline of the Meeks into a Soul's Attendant, Thraven Inspector, probably Force of Virtue, Pitch. But I don't have a way to actually cast a Springjack, so this makes all of my tokens amazing. I just can't get any tokens into play. Rip, Dawn of Hope, Force of Virtue. I love these cards. I just wish I had an extra land. So, Rip's going to stop the Snapcaster. Leyline doesn't have value yet. I'm going to be gaining life and drawing cards fairly early. I think it's probably going to be the Leyline. It's Leyline or Rip. The Force of Virtue can make my creatures 2/2s. Again, we don't actually have tokens yet, so I think Leyline goes away. Now the question is, am I supposed to Rip first or Dawn of Hope? I suppose we'll see if my Soul's Attendant gets bolted. Opponent won't be able to abuse Snapcaster Mage until turn 3, which I think means my Dawn of Hope needs to be turn 2. Yep. Bolt the Soul's Attendant. You got it. And I guess Force of Negation check. This is my best card for beating control, so... Oh, they lightning bolted a goat last game. This might have been loose. They can mana leak this. But honestly, that's a counterspell not pointed at something else. At the moment, that's fine. This also shuts off my Emeria. It doesn't seem super impactful, though. Generating tokens every turn seems okay. Although opponents getting to their bomb threat of the game, bomb start phase of the game. Words are hard, okay? So they'll be able to start dropping bombs, and we're just generating 1/1s. That's a good card. So I Spring Jack, it gets countered. In step, I just make a token. I can start the drawing engine. This 3 mana is likely representing a Kolaghan's command, which means I'll probably have to discard one of these two, so I can see creating a token and Force of Virtue being best against Kolaghan's command. Alternatively, they could just try to run out of Snapcaster as an Ambush Viper, but I'm reading Kolaghan's command, so I prefer to empty my hand and not give them a target to actually do anything with. Because they won't be able to pick up a creature with the K command. They won't be able to shock anything. And if they go to make me discard, it'll just fizzle. Token. That's a Leyline of Sanctity. So, first things first, let's attack with Soldier and see what opponent does. They also don't have Cryptic mana up right now, which makes me think that I want to Springjack Menace. Yeah, so we're not going to gain life. What we are going to do is we are going to Springjack Shepherd, see if they have the counterspell. It's possible that they evaluate this as getting 3 goat tokens not beneficial enough, and they might be holding a damnation. But with the trigger on the stack, I can cast the Force of Virtue. And that will give me 2 more goats. Yep, that's fine. Can't do much about that. They have counterspells. Still waiting for the K command play, though. I do think that's very possible to happen. That's another Leyline of Sanctity. I really want to start drawing cards. That's how we're going to win this game. And honestly, these aren't doing anything for me. So I think we're going to attack in and try to gain the life. Let's... Oh, if it's not your turn? Yeah, that's fine. It's been a little while since I played Black-White Tokens. I knew that when I did Tokens. This is awkward because it doesn't leave me enough mana to cast the Force of Virtue, but that's fine. Goat land down. I need to get my card advantage on. Snow-covered plains. All All right. There's the K command. That's unfortunate. There wasn't much winning that. I knew when I invested into the Dawn of Hope that that was going to be a problem, but kind of had to start drawing cards. I can at least start activating the tokens now. This should bait out opponent's counterspell if they've got it. It allows top deck to be live. If not, I can still just create a token and start gaining life again. But 4 mana, create a 2/2 token with lifelink that can potentially draw cards is probably good enough at the moment. I don't know. Opponent hasn't shown us a finisher, and the Cruel Ultimatum's actually not strong at the moment. That's bad. Those are the threats. Snapcaster doesn't actually do a whole lot. I'm just clicking things until they look right. So they actually can't even cast a Stormbreath Dragon at the moment because the land's in the other pile. They can't cast a Cryptic command either. They're going to have to Field of Ruin first. Yeah, that seems fine. I'd love to be able to sacrifice this right now so that they couldn't Field of Ruin it, but if Field of Ruin eats Sheffet Dunes to mana fix them, it means that a future Nykthos is alive. Maria's not really live because of the rip, but I should actually mention opponent took the Storm Breath Dragon and the Bolt. Yep. Pro white on that's pretty painful. Opponent is tapped out, so I'm just going to create my token now. Monstrous equal the number of cards in that opponent's hand. Luckily for me, that's 0. That seems like a bit of a non-bow with Cruel Ultimatum, but what are you going to do? Oh, lame. Now I'm open to K command, discard Elish Norn. I'm 1 mana off. Come on, drawn to Nykthos. Do it. Drawn to Nykthos. Actually, that might not be enough. That's definitely not enough. Alright, well, that at least protects versus K command. It could have been an argument to run out the On Thin Ice that I won't have a card in hand for this Monstrous, as well as getting my Devotion up, but I think creating another lifelinking token is going to be higher priority. Yep, stops on draw step to Monstrous. And of course I drew a tap land. That's just how tonight's been going. Stormbreath Dragon actually might become meta again with Stoneforge Mystic out. I could see that being relevant. Yep, the pain. I take 3, but I'm going to gain 4. Alright, let's draw 1 and see what we get. That's a Marshall. I've already made my land drop. That might have been some bad sequencing on my part because an untapped land would have meant Marshall and I can draw a card. This Marshall is representing lethal on the crackback by playing it, having it not get countered. So I think I'm going to take the draw. I don't necessarily need to make another token. And this should eat any removal opponent has. They did show Spell Pierce game 1, but yeah, that's fine. Devotion count goes up. This is a really good blocker for them, but we get to generate multiple tokens. Elishnorn is representing very close to lethal. I still just want to Nick those off the top. Nick those off the top is representing, I guess it's only 6, but that's net 3 mana. So that puts me at 10. That can be Elishnorn and Marshall, and that's lethal. Alright, you got it about it. You got it. Leyline of the Meek also grows my token. Do I run it into Stormbreath Dragon to draw a card? Probably not. Do I run it in there to gain life and draw a card? Potentially. And if I do, that means that I should probably be playing some of my other cards first. That won't let me Benelish Marshall draw and create a token. Leyline of the Meek also does benefit opponent as well as costing more. I think I'm just looking for a land here, so let's send it. Oh, nope, because I won't gain life because he's pro-white. So create a token at end step, try to kill opponent next turn. That's going to be Marshall now and token end step. Then drawing any land will make the soldier token lethal. At the very least, it's an interesting board state. Drawing into a Solsticer would be fantastic, so a creature entering will gain me life so I can draw a card. Make it so I don't have to actually get in through combat damage here. Opponent is trying really hard. Cruel Ultimatum is actually super bad for me here. But opponent wants to grind. I'm white. I can grind. That is what we were looking for. All right. Uryak Champion. That also gets in through the Stormbreath Dragon. And because of all my anthems, it's going to be bigger than a Snapcaster Mage. Which, they didn't take the Snapcaster Mage, right? Nope. So, I can create the token, but it's not actually going to let me draw a card yet. If opponent has another creature, I can draw the card, but I'm leaving up 4 mana to activate Dawn of Hope anyway. Yeah, Anthen Ice just... I don't want to run it out just to up my devotion. It doesn't feel worthwhile enough. Let's take a look-see. So I'll lose 5 life? That's fine. I'm just going to draw, though. I think drawing's more relevant than making an additional token. We are very close to lethal, but if I get a land and slam this Elishnorn, then I should pretty much just win on the spot. Plunge into Darkness. Wow, I run this in Narset Cannon. So they get a gain life for sacrificing the Snapcaster Mage and potentially the Stormbreath Dragon because I have a Ruined Halo on it. Oh, it's so sad. 2 cards. Gain 3 life. Your opponent gains 1 life and draws a card. I don't know. Maybe making the token there would have been better, but this still leaves opponent essentially dead. They're looking for the cruel ultimatum. Or potentially just a way out. One more, friend. You can do it. Oh, nope. You stopped at 7. So let's look at the top 7 cards, put 1 into the hand, and exile the rest. The fact that they went to 7 means it was either the last card or they didn't find it. I could also see them looking for Cryptic Command. Tap my team, bounce Ruined Halo. Seems pretty good. They left the mana open for it. But exiled zone. Got rid of a Rampage, a K Command, a Fatal Push, another Snapcaster Mage, another Fatal Push. Oh, all right. So I have a couple of options here. I can just attack in with Champion. Snapcaster blocks it. I can try to slam Elishnorn and Cryptic Command taps my team. Opponent gets another turn. I can... whatever. I'm just going to attack in with Champion. I think that that's the least punishing way to do things. And if opponent Cryptic Commands here, then I can just Shepherd, get a ton of sheep, and put opponent dead on table unless they have another Cryptic Command. Yep, that's fair. They actually don't have any more Cryptic mana, but they could have the mana leak. They've only shown me the 1, so whatever, let's do safe play. Goats! Disdainful Stroke. Not cool, opponent. Not cool. Alright, well, that buys you another turn. At least Elishnorn didn't get Disdainful Stroked. I think that's the upside. So I'm assuming opponent went digging for that Cryptic Command. Either that or they had it in hand and they're digging for Cruel Ultimatum. So what could they have here? Damnation. Fair enough. Oh, look at that. I really want another land. 8 mana means the difference for me in this deck. Alright, I'm actually going to try to be disciplined and go for the token win here. The token win will make it so that the creature spell can't be countered. And I'm thinking that's high enough upside I have to go for it. Do you have Stifle Bird? Please show me Stifle Bird. Stifle Bird! Not even mad at that. That's awesome. Force of Virtues, another decent card, but again, like, I'm so close to winning this. I kind of want to just cast Elishnorn just so I can say I cast Elishnorn tonight. Look at the Stifle Bird. Stifle Bird 2.0. Show it to me. Oh! Lame. Alright, well, In spirit, I cast Elishnorn. So we do get a losing record, but honestly, we were playing mono white goats. I fully expected that. We never got the Crested Sunmare out. We never cast Elishnorn. Spiritually, we did, but that's a spiritual win, not an actual win. Uh, as far as doing fun things, we did fun things. Like, we had some fun matchups. I did put a frowny face on our record because we would have won that game 2 versus the green Field of the Dead primetime deck, but I don't even know how I activated it. Like, I'm probably gonna go back and watch this and be like, oh, okay, so like I clearly reactivated it, or I was just clicking frantically because I know I do that occasionally. But we would have had a shot at 3-2ing with this deck. I know a lot of people have had success at their FNMs with it. It's White Devotion, it's Soul Sisters. Gaining life is actually kind of relevant in Modern when everybody's just trying to race car you into the ground and kill you as fast as possible. This deck might be a little weak for the current meta with Hogak gone. Stoneforge Mystic, everybody's kind of in fair mid-range town. Soul Herder also grinds better than we do, but I mean, this is a meme. I assume a lot of you watch me because I play a lot of meme decks, but this is 100% a meme. We were putting goat tokens onto the battlefield. We were attacking with them. We killed the opponent with them. A lot of opponents saw the goats coming, and they had issues with them. Our last opponent there actually spent a full-blown lightning bolt against our goat token with no other synergies on the table. Like, it was a card and a Field of Ruin for our pasture. Like, it happened. People don't necessarily like seeing unknown things, and it's kind of funny when that stuff happens. But it is a little bit on the budget side. We can buy this relatively cheap. Most of the expensive cards are ones that we can replace. A lot of it's in our sideboard tech. Elish Norn has commander value. Elspeth has some commander value, although she was in a dual deck. I think her price has gone down quite a bit. Force of Vigor is about the only expensive card, and I honestly wouldn't trim that. Yes, you can get by with an intangible virtue, but Force of Vigor does a couple of things. First of all, it's free. Second of all, it's 2 devotion. And third of all, it anthems your non-tokens as well. So I would highly suggest that. Intangible Virtue is another card that slots into things. It'll make all of your tokens better. There is probably room for any of the cards in Martyr proc, like Ranger Captain, Giver of Runes. Like, we can probably do things with those cards, but the point of this is to be a meme, and it was fun. I would put this on the would replay list, but not really in a hurry, because I've been doing a lot of white decks lately, and this doesn't do anything overly unique. It's just white things that eventually grind the opponent into the ground, but I think that's all I've got for Mono White Goats. I am thirteene. I do a bunch of fun decks. My schedule's over there on the left. All of our videos are up on YouTube. Just search for Squirrel Dealer. Will be the first thing that pops up. Brad One streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's always hosted on that Twitch channel. You can hit me up on Reddit or send us an email if you have something cool going on. But thanks for hanging around, and meme harder, I guess. Yeah, fun stuff. Talk to you all later.